Something's spoiled. Geostorm. Geostorm. Scott here with you today with Something Spoiled, here to review the new film Geostorm. Geostorm is directed by Dean Devlin. This is his feature film directorial debut. He has been a long-time producer and collaborator with Roland Emmerich, as well as television shows. He's produced The Librarians and Leverage. Leverage actually a show that I watched quite regularly. And with Geostorm, he goes into, once again, the whole disaster flick genre. As you know, Roland Emmerich is very good at destroying and leveling cities, and Dean Devlin wanted to try his hand in it as well. The story takes place in the, I suppose, not too distant future, after a network of weather control satellites has been built to battle the results of global warming and the frequent mounting of natural disasters that has been threatening the world globally. This network of satellites was named Dutch Boy, and it was designed and its construction overseen by Jake Lawson, a very brilliant man played by Gerard Butler. And because Gerard Butler's character doesn't know how to play nice with others, he is fired by his brother, played by Sturgess. And in the time that Gerard Butler's character is away from the network, some malfunctions begin to take place, starting with a desert village in Afghanistan being frozen solid. And of course, this launches an investigation as to what's causing the malfunctions. And as it turns out, it's sabotage. Well, let's talk about what works with Geostorm. I've thought that the first half of Geostorm was somewhat watchable, and it was somewhat watchable because it's kind of a whodunit flick. Once we find out that the malfunctions are, of course, the result of sabotage, we kind of want to know who's responsible. And for me, that was the most interesting part of the movie, was trying to dig and uncover who was responsible and, of course, what their motivation would be for deciding to sabotage Dutch Boy, this massive network of satellites which is keeping the planet safe from the weather. And, of course, why did they do this? What was their motivation? Beyond that, Geostorm is not an easy watch. Dean Devlin, who also worked on the story, did not construct a lot of complexity into his characters. He cast Gerard Butler against type. Gerard Butler is not an actor without some skill. He's not unwatchable. He certainly made a great Leonidas in 300, if you can excuse the fact that the Spartan king was running around with a Scottish accent, which is, of course, Butler's native way of speaking. But having a Scotsman play different ethnicities is kind of unprecedented. Okay, forget I said that. But Butler does his best version of an American accent, and he doesn't really convince you, at least he didn't convince me, that he was a guy who was this smart. He struck me as the kind of guy that if he had a problem, he would hit it with a wrench. Sturgess plays his brother, who is also a scientist, who ends up being placed in charge of Dutch Boy in place of his brother. Sturgess's character is also not horribly fleshed out, but I give Sturgess credit for actually trying to justify his character's motivations. Ed Harris, probably the only actor who's working regularly who is in this cast. You instantly suspect him of doing bad things because it's Ed Harris. And as we find out later, we're right. Ed Harris is responsible for sabotaging Dutch Boy because he wants to wipe out everybody in the government so that he will be next in line of succession. It's really ridiculous and convoluted. And of course you have the disaster sequences, which are competently computer rendered, but there's nothing to see that we haven't seen before. And that's my problem pretty much with Geostorm. It's flashy eye candy if you turn off your brain. It has all the nuance and all the sophistication of a Saturday afternoon sci-fi channel movie. And once again, with the character relations pretty much coming out of a Blue Bloods episode, I'm not really able to recommend Geostorm. The fact that they did try to mix things up with making it a whodunit sort of in the beginning was really the only thing that, I'm not even going to call it a surprise. I think it was an attempt at differentiating this movie from the other disaster movies that we've seen. There's nothing new here. It's not that particularly well executed. As much as I like the stuff that Dean Devlin has done in the past, this film did not work for me. I'm going to generously give Geostorm a 2. Well, what do you think? Have you seen Geostorm? If you have a different opinion, if you love the movie, or you think it's even worse than a 2, which I wouldn't blame you, I definitely want to know what you think. Leave your comments below. And if you want to see more here, please click that subscribe button, and you too can be spoiled. We will catch you next time. Looking forward to reviewing Suburbicon next week. Take care, folks.